In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 13 ways to increase learning and development in your company culture that your team will love. Hi, I'm Lizzie Benton, company culture coach and founder of Liberty Mind. I help businesses build a purpose-driven company culture so our human potential can thrive. If you love learning more about company culture, or if you're on a company culture journey yourself, then don't forget to subscribe because I produce weekly videos all around various topics that relate to company culture. Like I said, today I am sharing with you some tips on how you can increase learning and development in your company culture. Because when learning is at the very core of your company culture, you are going to be far more innovative, far more creative, and those who have more learning and development within their careers are found to be far more fulfilled and engaged in the workplace. And surely that's what we all want. We all want to feel like we are fulfilling our potential, expanding our minds in so many ways when we're at work so that we can really bring our best selves into the workplace. Also, on a side note, I really think learning and development is really an interesting topic right now. So when this video is going out, it's 2021. We've just been through the absolute chaos of 2020, and I think in regards to learning and development, it's something that has become increasingly kind of put to one side while everyone tries to kind of sort out their well-being, understand what the hell is going on in the world. But I really think as we kind of shift and move back into our kind of new working pace, it's really important to bring that learning core back into what we're doing. Besides, company cultures that actually have more learning and development in their company culture are far more likely to bounce back from disasters and things that have gone wrong, because they're much more resilient to change, they're much more resilient, they have a much bigger growth mindset, so they don't see things as setbacks, they actually see them more as opportunities and ways in which they can develop. So yes, I think learning and development is going to have a new boost this year as people take on new roles, new responsibilities, and start to adapt and create more agile businesses. From a team perspective, I think it's also really important to bear in mind that if people have been on furlough for the past year, they may have already got into that learning and development mindset themselves. Rather than sat at home bored, binging on Netflix, they might have started doing some online courses themselves and even started to dabble in some new hobbies that's just kind of turning the dial up on their capacity to want to learn more. So if you're not challenging and creating some kind of new ways in which people can develop themselves in your company culture, then you're really missing out on a trick. I would highly recommend that you grab a pen and paper, as these 13 tips are really going to make you think about how you can increase learning and development in your company culture. There is a perception that learning and development for even startups and small businesses is really quite unobtainable, and actually you need a really extravagant budget in order to help your team develop and create a growth mindset. But that is not at all true. You'll be pleased to know that there are 8 ideas in this video that absolutely cost zero. So no matter where you are in your business, whether you're a startup, a small business, or a larger organisation, there is going to be some ideas in here that you can adopt. So before I crack on, I highly recommend you grab a pen and paper, because there's going to be something in this video you will want to take away with you. Number 1 is story time. We learn so much from each other when we share our experience and we share the biggest stories that have changed our lives. This could be anything from a life-changing experience that we've been through. This could be somewhere we've travelled to that has changed something about who we are as a person. But we learn so much about each other and also about new experiences and the world when we share stories. So story time is a fantastic way to get people better connected in the team, as well as spark some kind of creativity and different conversations that aren't all based around purely work, projects and tasks. So story time is something you could embed of an evening or of a morning or an afternoon. It doesn't really matter what time it is, just a time where people can really relax and tune into the storyteller and enjoy it. It could even be a really casual lunchtime event that you do where you put on some food, and each week you have, or each month you have, somebody share a story or an experience from their life. And like I said, it's a great way to get the team better connected, and by sharing these stories you just don't know what it might inspire. Number 2 is to co-create a program of learning and development. So learning and development right now might be really sporadic and messy and disorganized, and there might not be regular events happening. So people might feel a little bit frustrated that there's not enough going on to keep them really challenged and interested. So what's great to do is actually to co-create a learning and development program that people can jump in, and don't make it mandatory either. So maybe create a program of different things that people want to learn about, where people can just jump on or jump into something when they feel like they want to. This is great, especially if you have an incredibly diverse team who all have different interests or different learning and development needs. You can all co-create this so that it's much more calendarized and you've actually got things to look forward to. I truly believe that co-creation is also really important, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot through these ideas, because in traditional organisations we tend to be quite patronising about people's learning and development, and we often give them a career ladder or a development pathway that we feel benefits them when actually they've had no input into it. So it's really important that actually what you do is you co-create that with people and don't just force them onto a pathway that isn't right for them. Number 3 is culture trips. Now I know this might not be ideal right now, especially with everything that is going on with the COVID restrictions. You can't travel or move to places very easily, but culture trips is a fun and engaging way to learn new things and develop people's skills. Now this could be anything from going to a traditional conference that is particularly around your niche or your business sector or industry, or it could be doing something a bit more different, even a culture trip maybe to one of your clients or your customers to really get to know more about their business and what they're doing, or even, taking a culture trip somewhere that's in the area to get to know more about the area that you all work in. So these culture trips are so much fun and really help to spark that creativity, innovation, and make learning and development much more engaging. Of course, again, it's all about co-creating this. So what are the events and things you can go to that could really spark some learning that people can reflect on and maybe build existing skills? Of course, with this, it's really important to remember that with culture trips, they can just be as fun as the good old-fashioned school trip days. I'm sure many of us have fond memories of going to different adventure camps and things like that, where we learned so much about our friends and we got to do really unusual and unique activities. This is just another way to keep things fresh and interesting, and this might be especially engaging once you can move around countries or even freely around your own country, in order to really enhance people's experiences, because we are going to be desperate for some freedom, for some movement, and to get better connected with everyone again. Number 4 is all about inviting in specialists. So if you do have particular areas that you want to support your team with, or your team are really particularly interested in right now, then inviting specialists in to talk on that topic can really help them think differently and support them in their learning and development. So this could be anything, any kind of specialist. Again, it doesn't have to be purely focused on just work and projects and tasks. It could be someone like myself who comes in to help you talk about culture or mindfulness or different communication methods, or it might be someone coming in to do something completely random, like teaching everybody how to cook sushi. There are so many amazing people out there who have specialisms and deep experiences in things, even motivational speakers and people that have been through trials and tribulations who are now turning those into an inspirational talk. So there's so many people out there who are willing to share those stories with your team and support them in developing soft skills like resilience, better communication, agility, All of these kind of areas that are vital to your company culture can also be nurtured through specialists coming in and sharing their stories. Number 5 is about exploring the company itself. Now, even if you're a startup or a larger organization, then this still really works. Essentially, the idea is that you actually introduce a department or an area of the business that maybe people don't always engage with. You would be really surprised at how many people sit together in a business but don't really know what each other does. So it's really great to sometimes actually let a department or a particular team member share more about their experience in that area, share more about the projects they're working on, and just telling people exactly what it is they're doing, what they have as a vision for that department, what the mission is. And this can really help stimulate so many ideas and also a better sense of connection within the company culture. Number 6 is really leading on from the last idea. So if you do have people present different areas of the company culture, the flip side of that is doing a job swap. Now, this sounds a little bit extreme and a little bit unusual, but essentially what you create is a shadowing peer-to-peer learning program where people can shadow somebody in a different department to really understand what they do and help them maybe come up with new innovative ideas, help them problem solve on things that are coming up. And again, people learn new skills and realize that maybe some of the skills they have in their department could also be really used in another department or another team. So this is a great way just to bring more people together and expand people's minds on the existing areas of the business where things might, spark new ideas, new innovations. You just never know what could come from a job swap. Plus, it's pretty fun to work with someone else for the day and just get to know what they're doing and how they do it. I'm sure all of us have a dream career where we wish we could kind of follow someone around for the day and think, does it really look as good as they say it does? This is exactly it, so give it a go. Number 7 is great if you do have a bit of a budget to spend. The one thing that many businesses really lack within their teams is commercial awareness. So understanding the ins and outs of business and how it all works. Many of us have maybe been to university and been in the education system for a long time and never actually got under the bonnet of a business and how it works and all the mechanics that have to go on. The idea around this one is about creating an entrepreneurial mindset, that creativity, that innovation, getting people to actually do new businesses in order for them to learn more about business. So move over MBAs, it's all about the Dragon Den style entrepreneur activities to encourage your team to think of new business ideas. This is something that Google already do there. XLab is all about innovation and creativity, getting their existing team to come up with new business ideas. So essentially, kind of adopting this yourself, you could provide a budget to your team and a space where they can come up with new business ideas. It might not even be related to your existing business, but it really helps them take ownership of an idea and understand more about business and more about commercial awareness. Plus, you just don't know the ideas that they're going to come up with along the way that can actually help improve your own business. Number 8 is all about utilizing what is already out there. There are so many free resources. You have FutureLearn, you have Open University, you have Udemy. There are so many free training resources out there that you don't have to spend a huge budget. All of these resources are there for you to use. So really give your team accessibility to these, give them the opportunity and maybe some time each week to dip into a different course that they're really interested in and just let them completely take ownership of it. You don't need to guide or micromanage it. It's about them feeling fulfilled and finding something that really provokes their interest. Even if it is really random. For example, I know on FutureLearn, they do a really cool course all about police investigations and crime scenes. And while this seems really totally out there, you just don't know what kind of ideas it will spark. Creativity is most often stimulated when we experience new things. So by giving them that opportunity to go and do a course that's totally random, you never know the ideas that's going to spark in order to help your business. Number 9, again, is a zero budget idea and it's co-working projects. So how can 2 team members work together on a project that they're passionate about? This might be something to do with the culture, it might be something to do with the business. Maybe they've got a suggestion that you're like, well, hang on a minute, why don't you take ownership of that and find somebody else who's really passionate about it and do that together and report back to me, like report back to the team. This is an amazing way to let people take ownership of an idea, get really into the nitty-gritty details of it and learn while doing. If people are much more active learners, then this is a great idea to stimulate that active learning rather than have them sit and read books or watch a YouTube video or go online to do something. It's much more of an active learning project that really brings people together and helps them actually get into the doing of something. Number 10 is not so much of an idea but more of a tip, is definitely give each of your team members a budget on their learning and development. Again, like I keep reiterating in this video, we have a really bad tendency in our traditional organisations to limit people's learning to what we think and we feel they should be learning and how they should be applying it. This really stifles innovation and creativity because this blueprint just doesn't work. It doesn't make people feel engaged with their learning. It doesn't make people feel stimulated. In fact, most of the time what I hear from managers and leaders is, oh, we spent loads of money on their learning and development and nobody's doing the course. That's because you didn't ask them. So make sure that you're giving them a budget and just letting them go free rein with it, okay? And again, like I said, it's really good to give them the ownership. Give them the budget and just say to them, you can do anything, buy books, go to conferences, whatever it might be to help them improve themselves. So this could be anything from getting a coach or going onto a particular course. You have to allow people to really nurture their own learning and development and not dictate what you think they should be learning. Number 11 really is about giving them ownership. I know I've mentioned this in the previous point, but again, it's not just about giving them a budget and then, you know, them having to constantly ask permission for every sign off, for every bit of money they spend. That's A, going to take a lot of your time up, but B, that's going to make them, you know, it's going to make it a very slow process. It's going to make it feel like they aren't in control of it because they're still seeking permission. So again, like I said, let them take ownership of it. They really need to have self-ownership of their learning and development so that they feel really excited and passionate about it. Number 12 is a really fun and easy way to increase learning and development, and that is with an accountability buddy. So using some of the other ideas such as online resources or entrepreneurial ideas, having an accountability buddy where people can talk and stay in communication about what they're doing is a great way to continue to nurture learning and development and give people time to reflect on what they've been learning and how much growth they've gone through. Especially if if you're in a very busy, fast-paced startup or small business, learning and development sometimes gets put on the back burner because people put their work or their projects before, which is of course understandable, but that then ends up meaning learning and development just doesn't happen. So what you want to do is make sure that people really are committing themselves to their learning and development with the support of an accountability buddy. Now, this isn't about getting into reprimand if they don't do learning and development. This is purely a support mechanism. So this is about having fun, coaching each other, having somebody else to communicate with about your growth. This is not about trying to tick off boxes or make sure everyone is doing it. It needs to be a high energy, high growth situation. My 13th lucky 13, you could say, and final idea is to treat every day like a school day. I mean, come on, every day really is a school day. We are always learning something, and especially in the workplace. But what I really recommend is that you treat your everyday interactions as a learning and development experience. Even, for example, a conflict that happens in the workplace, to really use this actually rather than something that we ignore and let fester or be the elephant in the room, we really sit back and think about why this may have happened. For example, losing a client, why might that have happened? Maybe some team frustrations or tensions came up. Why did that happen? What were people's behaviours? There are so many ways we can use everyday experiences and interactions as learning material. So really do think about how you can start doing this more often, getting people to journal on certain things that happen throughout the day and reflecting on, I wonder why that happened, and having really open communication together. This is a wonderful way to improve your culture, because so much of culture is about communication. It's about behaviours and actions. Yes, all of the other ideas are great as a benefit to learning and development, but they don't replace the importance of nurturing soft skills like better communication and more mindfulness towards each other. So that's my last idea, something that anyone can do in any organisation, no matter your budget, and it's something I'm more than happy to discuss more of if you're intrigued about that kind of idea. But like I said, those are my 13 ideas. There's going to be something in there that triggers you, that makes you think, yes, we need more of that in our company culture. But I hope these ideas have really stimulated ways in which you can improve learning and development in your company culture. Like I said, if you do really enjoy learning about culture, then don't forget to subscribe, because I am doing weekly videos. And again, if there's any topics you want me to cover, or if you've got any feedback about the videos I'm doing, I would love to hear your comments, because I want to constantly keep improving these and provide as much support and feedback in regards to culture as possible. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.